Look, Nathan, we did that cinema biosis on Alien 2 Soliterra, the Italian knockoff, and then we did Roger Corman's Lords of the Deep. Why do we keep doing these alien-styled knockoff films?
Sounds like you want to talk trash about trash.
Do I ever? I kind of have a controversial opinion about Ridley Scott's Alien, and I've only really come to this realization in the last couple of months, and it's been from us looking at so many Alien ripoffs. And I don't know how you're going to react to this, because you're a big fan of Ridley Scott's Alien, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people are.
Yeah, I like the film. I really do like Ridley Scott's Alien, and I like Aliens as well. I have a soft spot for Alien 3, but after that, it kind of peters out a little bit for me.
Resurrection's a guilty pleasure, but yeah, no, I agree. Alien 3 was the last, what you'd call, I don't know, a decent one.
Yeah, and I know what you mean with guilty pleasure with Resurrection, because I agree. It's schlocky and fun, but it's not a very good Alien film necessarily. But that's the pickle. I don't think Ridley Scott's Alien, has a very good plot. The plot isn't what makes that film.
Okay. How do you mean? What makes Alien?
I think what makes Alien is all of the things around the plot. So, like, the fantastic set design. Like, the fact that it was one of the first movies to really have that kind of, like, used industrial look when it comes to sci-fi movies. I think the Alien itself is really awesome. Like, the whole kind of, like, internal gestation kind of thing's really uncomfortable in a body horror type of way.
Yeah, and the actual xenomorph, or I guess these days, is what you would call iconic.
Yeah, the design of the creature and the way it moves and all of those things is really iconic. But when you break it down to the nuts and bolts of it, thing chases people on ship. Yeah. That's the plot.
But it also... I think what helps the film is the crew of the ship all have a believable dynamic amongst them. Like, you believe that these are people that have been out working in space for God knows how long together, and they're nearly done. They can't wait to get home, and they actually care for each other.
100%, and fantastic actors cast in those roles.
Yeah, exactly.
So as soon as you transfer over that, like, setup into the low-budget quickie world, it's like, well, you don't have the money for good set design.
You don't have the monster.
Yeah, because you don't really have the budget or perhaps even the time to create something original. And you don't have the good actors to carry those roles. So what are you left with? Thing chasing people on ship.
Yeah. Well, it becomes a slasher in space, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, you're saying that like it's a bad thing, but can a horror movie set in space really be that bad?
What, did you shoot him with steroids?
Leprechaun 4. Leprechaun in Space.
But, well, you see, like with Alien 2 and Lords of the Deep, the problem is they all have the same uniforms and stuff as well. Like, everyone's generic, looks the same. The set was everyone gets the same uniform because it's cheap to make a bunch of them. In Ridley Scott's Alien, every character has their own sort of interpretation of what they're wearing and stuff, and it makes them stand out as well.
That represents their characterization.
There's more effort put in.
Because there is a characterization to kind of dictate what they wear, opposed to a lot of these, like, knockoffs, there is no characterization. There's just fodder. They're just there to be killed.
Well, you look at, like, the making of Alien, there's multiple things out there about the making of Alien, and what Ridley Scott went through is how much time they spent trying to get the design of the alien right, and the gestation for the face hugger and then the chest burster and stuff like that. We're in a low budget film, they're just like, we need a monster. We just need something to attack people, like.
Exactly. And it's like, yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, when I say it's got a bad plot, I mean, that doesn't mean it's necessarily a bad film, because all the other elements around it bring it up. But I mean, the plot is literally that one segment from John Carpenter's Dark Star expanded. Like, I mean, literally, it's the same writer, Dan O'Bannon.
Oh, yeah.
So, he even knew it was essentially just a bit of a monster kind of, like, movie in space, but it's all those other elements that help it transcend. which I think is the issue in many ways with the Alien series, because it's like Aliens, it's still kind of the same thing, but now there's just lots of them, which is scary.
It's been James Cameron. It's just, he's dialed it up, made more action sort of thing, like he did with Terminator 2.
Yeah, and it's great. But it's like, then what do you do?
Well, then, yeah.
Do you then have like 50 million aliens? No. Well, we've got one alien now. And it's like, that's not what made the original movie. You know, that plot of one alien pursuing people is not what made that movie interesting.
Well, the thing that made the third one work well for me was the guy, they're in this little, like, basically abandoned prison. There's not many people left in it. And the one alien, but they're not armed or anything. They know what it is.
True, that's an extra complication. Yeah.
They know what it's capable of, but they can't, you know what I mean? Like, they're trapped there. They can't do anything. Where in the first alien, they've all got weapons and that, but they don't know what it is.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
True, and that's probably why that one kind of still works in some ways. Like, it's got its problems.
Oh, yeah.
Which is why David Fincher, like, disowned it. But, I mean, it still kind of works in many ways that Resurrection doesn't.
No, Resurrection's... Resurrection just...
I do not know what tone they were going for with Resurrection.
They couldn't wait to get the aliens out there and have them running around the ship. It's like, are you trying to make it suspenseful? Because at the start, it's got them, the people are being, you know, impregnated. They've got the aliens. Okay, here we go. They're testing them, trying to train them sort of thing. Then they get out, and then it's just get to a ship. I don't know. That movie just falls apart.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, like, it's extra weird because... It's written by Joss Whedon before he kind of wrote Firefly, and if you read the original script, there's a lot of parallels in the group dynamic of the crew.
Yeah.
Like, it almost was like a totally different movie he was writing that just was taking place in the Alien universe.
Well, yet again, Joss Whedon, like, somehow he just writes a memorable character. They're all different, you remember them, but the whole dynamic they're in, like, the budget was it would have been way more than what Alien was for Resurrection. The effects in it, like, the aliens look awesome. But it's just meh. By the end, you're like, they didn't need to bring Ripley back, is what I think the problem was with that one.
Well, this is the issue though with making an Alien sequel, is what makes Alien Alien is almost not the plot, and the alien itself is one of the smallest elements of what makes Alien so scary.
Yeah, no, it's where is it? You can't see it on the screen all the time.
No, and we care about all the characters that are kind of being involved in this, which is why so many people were like furious when Newt and Hicks were killed. And I mean, the shock of Alien was the fact that it had all of this body horror, but we know it now.
Yeah.
It's not shocking anymore because it's been like co-opted all through like millions of other films. So that's like the issue with like Covenant. Like Alien Covenant is interesting until the aliens show up and it just turns into an alien film.
Yeah, but it turns into like a quick fan-made alien thing at the end of this other movie about creation and, you know, gods or science or whatever. And then it's like, oh, there's an alien at the end. You're like, what?
Boring.
Yeah, and I mean, like, going back to, we've spoken about, you know, the Jason films quite a lot. It's like, the best Jason films are the ones that are self-aware because the plot's simplistic.
Yeah.
Whereas when you get something like, say, Covenant, when the alien bit comes in, it's like, it's so well worn now that it doesn't work when it's serious. And I'm not saying make Alien self-aware. I'm saying we don't need any more Alien films.
No, we really don't. Just let them be. Like, well, it comes along the same line as Predator. Predator goes through that same thing as well. We didn't need more Predator movies. Every time they make them, I want to see them. But we don't need them.
No, you've kind of worn the premise down. And it's funny, because that often happens with James Cameron. Because, like, Terminator, like, I love Terminator. And I'm one of those people who, you know, might be in the minority of loving Terminator 1 more than 2. But then 2 comes along, and it's like, yep, done. Nice little bow on that, finished. And we could have kind of had that with Aliens as well. It could have just ended there.
Could have just ended there.
Yeah, but it's that every time you keep going, it's just diminishing returns, because it's like they don't understand what makes the originals interesting.
Yeah, no, Ridley Scott tried to take it somewhere different with Prometheus. He tried to, you know, make it a separate thing, you know, well, what about this is the beginning, blah, blah, blah. But then he put that little alien thing up on the wall, and then he had something that looked like a xenomorph but wasn't a xenomorph, and everyone hated it because it wasn't a new Alien movie. So then he made Covenant, and it's kind of like, well, this is what I was trying to do, but here's your alien at the end, and it just all falls apart.
And I'll also kind of ignore all these other things that were unanswered from Prometheus. And you know what the most frustrating part about that all is? I was like, oh, well, at least maybe they can tie it into a nice little bow with the third one. Do you know what's happening with the third one?
Has he cancelled it?
No, worse. It's just unrelated to the two films that came before.
Is it found footage?
I would probably cry.
Yeah, or it's the cult of the xenomorph or something. Like,
Yeah,
please
yeah.
just stop. It's already dead.
Well, the real thing is, like, do we need any more alien films when we reached perfection with, and this is pulling it back to one of our older Cinema Biosis episodes, Paul W.S. Anderson's Alien vs. Predator.
Oh my god.